What is going on, everybody? Lukey Boy here. I like to call myself Lukey Boy now. And what we're going to be talking about today is my Q4 roundup. How did I do? How did I do compared to last year? Now, as you can see right off the bat, I did about half of what I did in 2020. Actually, a little bit less than half. So you can see 215,000. We've still got the rest of the day. Let's just say 215,000 for now. And you can see all the other numbers. Obviously, the net profit, don't take that. I need to, like most people know with SellerBoard, I need to take some VAT out of that. And I need to finalize my expenses and stuff because I don't actually have the bills for prep and stuff for December yet. But we're just going to go off this for the very minute, basically the first minute. I'm going to talk about what happened. Did it not go how I expected? What's the plan for next? All these kind of things. So first thing I'm going to start with is this is what I would call is I don't know if I'll call it good, but I would call it as satisfactory. Yeah, that's probably a better way to say it. For me, this is more satisfactory. It's it's not under, it's not over. It's exactly what I thought could happen. Now, the reason I say that could happen is because this year has been the worst year since I started, with the amount of challenges that have happened, or changes that have created challenges over the year, from anything from restock limits, which basically screwed everyone up. Anyone that was a larger seller that had more stock screwed pretty much everyone up, meaning you couldn't send in new stock. So you had to spend ages getting rid of any overstock, anything, and obviously that's going to diminish sales because you can't put back in all the good stuff that you want to be putting in, the day-to-day stuff, as much as you want. So I had about 6 weeks where I couldn't really buy anything. So that obviously puts a massive sort of spanner in the works there. Not only that, but we had issues with larger sellers that do more volume. In the grocery section, more than anything I found is that there was a lot of seller fulfill prime doing minimum order quantities. It was everywhere. It was like 50, 60, 70% of listings where the seller fulfill prime could basically change their minimum order quantity to 3. So even if something was a 6-pack, they'd say 3 minimum order quantity and get the buy box because the fees are cheaper because you're selling 3 at once, and so therefore there's not 3 lots of fees on that transaction, but someone can sell 3 boxes at once or 3 packs or whatever. And so they were able to bring their price down. And the problem with that is that less people were buying it because they don't want, if it's already a 6-pack, they don't want to have to buy 3. So then that mucks up the ranking and the quality and popularity of the products. But then also people that actually want to sell the 1-packs can't. Well, they can, but they can't because the buy box is getting taken by, let's say, seller fulfill prime because they are cheaper. Yeah, and when I say cheaper, they were some people were selling stuff at $2.99, $3.99, and when normally it would be selling at $6.99 to $9.99, normal price. But they were able to sell it for so much cheaper on some product lines. Is that they were way, at least a couple of quid under the normal buy box, and so Amazon would see that as yep, we're going to give them the buy box, and so that so many things that basically took priority. And there was things that were amazing sellers selling hundreds per month as they were on the buy box that I was selling. I was selling 10 after that because people would obviously go, oh, I don't want to have 3, I want to get prime, and they would be smart enough to understand where they got to go. But most people would only see that. So half of the rankings got shot. They went from a 3 to 4, 5,000 rank to 20, 25, 30,000 because people weren't buying them, and that was around for months. And then there was some other problems to do with pricing and various other things, just on the side. And this year with stock, the availability of stock has been absolutely, okay to basic. It wasn't terrible, it wasn't bad, it was just okay. But I'm talking more about Q4. But in a Q4 period, retailers historically have had so much stock because the demand's there, just like we know the demand's there. But many places that I went, either they were never in stock at the beginning on stuff I wanted to buy, as in I knew that they always sold these same items every year or whatever, especially Thorntons. I can see them just dying at some point. There was stuff that I probably bought here, there and everywhere through the year, and they literally had no stock over Q4 on like 10 plus products that sell crazy. I would have spent another 50, 60 grand on just Thorntons alone if they were even in stock for one day. Like, as in, they were basically half the stuff was never in stock once over Q4 at all. It wasn't even on the website, or it was on the website out of stock. Like, it was a disaster, absolute disaster. And it's like, there's only so much I can do as well. Like, yeah, I could go and find new products, but those kind of things take time. You got to test the products. I don't want to be buying 1,000 units like my first purchase. I need to get that stock in. I need to trial it over a Q4 and then use it next year. So yeah, I've been doing stuff like that this year, but I can't really get the oomph of the sales until pretty much next year, or I can get a good feel for the sales and make some nice sales, but it's not as good as I would want because I wasn't sure exactly how many I should be buying. And I sold like a Thorntons Christmas tray thing. I sold 890 of them this Q4, and it went out of stock way early. But luckily I bought a lot in advance because I knew that would sell crazy. But the problem is I still was out of stock for the last 5 days of Q4, and I was above the buy box for about 10 days in the middle of December because I understood that basically waiting to be the last seller on that listing was perfect. It was selling at like $19.99 or $18.99, and you make it like $150 per box, maybe a bit more, and it would sell like 100 a day, so it was crazy. But I was like, well, I've only got 700 left or something, 600, and I know it sells about 100 a day. Obviously, if you raise the price, it might be 80, 70 units, and obviously it could be that it's 200 units a day if there was 20 sellers and now there's zero. Well, me. So I get like there's a bit you have to be aware of the data point from that, and to get a good accurate, figure out an accurate understanding of what it's going to sell per day if you're the only seller compared to 10 sellers a day, and obviously the price difference as well. And so I had to hold, because basically if I was selling it at $19.99, I would have been selling those 700. Great, I'd sell them, but I would have been like 3 weeks out of stock, and it's just pointless. And I knew it wasn't in stock anymore. It wasn't coming back into stock. Checking every day. So again, I've done this many years in a row. I basically raise my price and I wait, because I know it's going to sell 100 a day, or it's going to sell 60 a day anyway. But if I've got 700, well, it's 60 a day. 700 divided by 60, and this is being under 11 days, 11.6 days, and that's probably not even right, because if there's no other sellers and it's just me, I can probably sell at least to 100 a day. And if I need to like adjust my price a little bit to make sure I sell out by Christmas Day or something, so be it. I can work that out later, but I just know in the short term that there's no more stock and I can wait, and the sellers will sell out, and I can sell it at least a little bit higher, hopefully a lot higher in the future. And I was making like 780, £8 per unit on that, and I sold 890 in December alone, just by December. And then November I also sold some, but and I wasn't selling them all of December either, like I said. So I was focusing a lot on that, but ultimately those products are only going to do so much. Like having a handful of those products is great, but you really need to have like 10 that do that, and then yes, then you definitely would. But the problem is there was just not the availability of stock. Like, not that it wasn't even available, maybe they discontinued it or something. It was, a lot of them were out of stock so much. It was just ridiculous. And not only that, there was decent delays in deliveries. And again, the prep center can't, you can't send 100 grand to a prep center in one day and expect them to get it all out in 3 days. Yeah. So that delay is then going to have a delay going in, and so on and so on. Some things was my wholesale was taking something 4 weeks. Where before it would take 10 days, like, this time last year. And again, that had a huge impact as well. And so, like, looking at this, reflecting, it's not so bad, really. Like, it's not that I did anything differently, is that there was, not only did I know I talked about not just Q4, obviously this is just Q4 data, but I wanted to reflect on the whole year, and then I also wanted to reflect on this. For me, doing 215 grand in sales is actually decent. Now I'm reflecting on it myself, as in, I know I said earlier that it wasn't, but now I'm actually reflecting on it. It's decent, because the amount of things that are out of stock, if it was just normally in stock, like a normal year, then that would be 400. Now, it wouldn't be as high as last year. The reason for that is that last year was COVID, and everything was flying off the shelves. Tea bags. You could sell 150 packs of tea bags like it was nothing. Now, you might sell 30 or 40, yeah, because people are going mental. Like hot sauce, like ketchup, like just things that are so casual, standard. People aren't doing that now. And so like last year was like a super year, because you were getting all that Christmas craziness and you were getting all the crap craziness, tea bags and all that kind of general stuff. So, that isn't gonna, I knew that wouldn't happen this year. And yeah, I've increased my stock, my ASINs, but again, the supply of stock is not, it's not really there. Yeah, I can get stuff now and then, but I've not really been able to get anything mental. Like, I've not been able to have a constant supply is what I'm trying to say. I've not been able to have a constant supply over time of the same things to build up a good understanding of how many it sells on average per month, per week, XYZ. Then I can go and extrapolate that data and build up a Q4 plan, like where you've got like holes in how many it's selling per month and stuff. It starts to really skew the data. And then if you don't have it in there for 2 weeks, you've got to buy it. So you've had 2 weeks of no sales, you've got to go and buy it, and then you've got to go and get it prepped. And how long's the prep center going to take to get it in? And all these unforeseen things that you can't control. And like the prep center did decently well, but again, last year I had 2 prep centers. This year I've just done 1 because I used 2, and like most prep centers, you find that a lot of people, they're great for a while, then they're crap, and like the one that I'm using is great for me, and the other one that I was using last Q4, I found out had lots of issues after Q4. Like they revealed themselves, like there was stuff, like they were saying there was stuff left. So like, oh, you got 3 boxes of this and it's all expired. I'm like, why do you have 3 boxes of that? That's like $3,000 in sales that should have been in for Q4, but you just happened to leave it on the side, and like little things like that. So I kind of thought, I stripped it back a bit and thought, you know what, I'm happy to send a little bit less if that comes to it, because I'm able to control a little bit more what's going on, because I know what they do, and I'm able to avoid all that crap that I was unaware of. And of course, that's losses, monetary losses that I was unaware of last Q4, and that came to light later on. And it's all these like little things that I want to like just get stripped back so that they're not there. So for me, in reflection, this is pretty much how I expected it to go if I had to think about it. Overall for the year, considering all those things I talked about, it's been the hardest year. Like, not only that, the amount of competition on listings is like gone from like 2 to 5x for just general crap, like an advent calendar. It's like, what? Like, where do these people come from? Like, the only thing I can think of, I actually think that next year will be a lot cleaner of a year. What I mean by that is that a lot of people that were in the game last year, they got these bounce back loans. They had a great year with crap selling, and then they had a great year because Q4's Q4, and they were like, same again. And then they go ahead and then they do the same again, and now half the people are losing money on advent calendars, and they're doing this, they're doing that. They got restock limits. They're going, Jesus, like that's so much different, more harder this year, because a lot of people joined last year. They had those bounce back loans that they could just go, cash flow, got 50 grand, 30 grand, boom, it's gone in. I can buy all the stock. My sales look cool, and they're just going with it. And they're like, yeah, this year been a lot harder. It's not going to apply for everybody. Some people don't sell. Some people will sell completely different stuff to what I sell, and it will be another story. But I'm just, obviously everyone knows who I am by now. I'm just going off what I've done and what my experience is. And so I feel like next year there's going to be a lot more balance. Restock limits aren't going to be a thing as such. They'll still probably be there, but it's going to be a lot more calculated on our part. We are able to figure things out. Hopefully these stock limit issues, stock supply issues sort themselves out. But again, you can kind of work around that. You could overstock a bit. Again, you've got to be careful with restock limits. But if they're improving, as in you only need a 400 score now on your IPI, so it's gone down 50 to have unlimited, then that makes me mean that you can be a little bit more blasé, not like crazy, but I'm just saying a little bit more, you got a bit more wiggle room with stocks. You could overstock the stuff you really know it's good, and maybe you've seen go out of stock a million times. But again, there is some restriction there for us. So you could, for me, I'm going to be really deep diving into maybe finding a lot more ASINs that probably don't make a lot of profit, like a quid each, 50p each, but I'm going to try to find a hell of a lot of them so that I have options, So like if I have not 1,000, but like 200 ASINs that, I can sell 10 each. That's 2,000 units, and I can make $2,000. Let's just say, let's keep it simple. You know, and then I can just double that. It's nothing sexy. I don't need a lot of them. I can just sell 30 a month, 10 a month, whatever it ends up being. I don't need to be, you know, it's nothing fancy. Yes, there's a lot of ASINs to find, but that's not normally the hardest part. That's normally not that hard, actually. And so I'm going to be looking a lot more into that at the beginning of Q1, because I obviously need to see things unravel through the year. You know, do supply of stock, does that get a lot easier? How do things change over next year? Because you know, half the time you just got to see things play out to actually get a good reflection of what's going on, and then plan and strategize. But you know, in summary, I know a lot of people are saying this is the best year ever. Yeah, for some people that probably started this year or the end of last year, but most people probably not. You know, I know a lot of people where they're pretty much around the same as what I've been doing. Larger sellers that probably did a lot better last year. You know, the only reason I had such a great year last year is because it was just like the perfect storm. It was just easy as hell. Everything was selling, and I already had a lot of stock all the time, and so I didn't even have any stock issues with selling. I didn't run out because I had so much. It was just like the perfect storm, and I knew that wasn't going to last forever, of course. Now I'm back to a bit more reality, and I'm hoping next year will be a bit more streamlined, a lot more easier to understand, and that's the plan for next year. So hopefully by the end of next year I can get back to where I was last year without having all those crazy tea bags selling like a million. Yeah, so like, you know, but that's not really going backwards, that's just understanding what's the transitional changes that are happening in the world. Anyway, gonna leave it there, everyone. Hopefully you liked it. I will bring out some more videos about Q1 and maybe a Q4 summary in total, some profit figures and stuff. But, you know, compared to last year, it's going to be what, 20 grand, 15 grand for December. Q4, yeah, like 20 grand maybe. I don't know. I need to see my final bills for my prep center and stuff before I can work that out. So I will do a summary video on that later. But just so you can see roughly what's going on, because I haven't actually posted anything for a while about my sales, because to me it was just like bog standards, you know, same day different shit, whatever it was. So that's why I never really brought anything out. But just so you can actually see what's going on. Anything is hiding away. There you go. So anyway, enough of that. See you all. Have a good new year. There we go. And see you all next year. Have a good day. See ya. Bye.